Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I'm here with a follow-up video. Now, a little while ago you may recognise this 6x6 pad that I used, and I created a background from it. I made this background, which you all loved. And in that video I did say that I was going to completely make the whole pad into as many 12 by 12 backgrounds as I could, but I wasn't going to do it on screen because I'd done one, and this is sort of the format I like doing anyway, and I thought they're all going to look slightly similar, and also to make an entire pad into 12 by 12s would have taken far too long for one video. Although I did get resounding requests from my lovely subscribers saying, can you please do sort of a flip through and show us what you came up with? So that's what this video is going to be. Not my intent to do this video, but if that's what you want, that's what we're doing. Now, I did my maths. Now, we know here there's 50 sheets. So even with my meagre grasp of mathematics, 50 divided by 4 will give me 12 and a half. So this is 6, 6, 6, 6, which makes a 12 by 12. So I expected this pack to make 12 and a half 12 by 12 backgrounds. So when I made it up, however, it made 11 backgrounds, and I've got some change. So basically I would reckon these are the snippets of the bits that I cut off, and there were the odd little bits that maybe went into the bin because they just weren't big enough. So I reckon that represents the half, and I'm thinking what probably happened is when I bought this pad, I must have taken a couple of sheets out of this pad and used it for something else and put this in the drawer, which is why it got forgotten. I didn't see it. So I've made 11 backgrounds, not 12, but know that I could have made 12. So let's put this one over there. So now, because I knew if I tried doing all of them in this sort of format, and we know that I like verticals and horizontals, it'd look a little boring for you all. So I thought, well, I will try and work a few designs in as we go along, but quite a few of them are going to look like this, guys. So that was our first one. This was the second one. As you can see, I mean, nice format to them. I'm not sure what they're going to become, to be honest with you. Might become a journal cover, might become ephemera. That's the next one. Depends on how you choose to view it. I tend to turn my work around as I was making these so that I actually came up with variations that can be seen from all different angles. Okay, this one I made up with 1-inch strips. So I cut the pieces, the 6x6, into 1-inch strips and started, actually I think I did start there, and I worked round in a spiral, trying to get it to go all the way to the inside. My intent wasn't to create a spiral per se, but it gave me a method of working. It was interesting. That was one I wouldn't normally have created, but I was trying to show variety with how the pieces could be used. So here's the next one. As you can see, I always seem to revert to this sort of horizontal vertical format because it's what I find most useful. If I was to cut this into tags or journal cards, then it gives me nice linear designs. Although saying that, I did try angles. So yes, Ceri doesn't really like diagonals, but you know what, I thought let's give it a go. Let's see what we can come up with. It was interesting actually. This was a bit of a challenge. I did use recycled 12 by 12s for all of these. So this one, if I remember correctly, had a tartan pattern on it, which sort of sparked the idea. And I used the lines of the tartan pattern to establish the first diagonals, and then from there on in I just collaged it in. The pieces were getting slightly smaller that I was working with because obviously I was using at random pieces, and then I would put the spare bits into this basket or this tray, and then I grab another few. But then it got to the point where I was no longer working with whole pieces. I was only working with scraps, which is how the very last one ended up. This one I thought, right, let's really limit this. So I chose 4 patterns, cut them into 3-inch squares, and literally just made a checkerboard of them, trying to be kind of random. Which one was it? I'm trying to work out which way this worked. Right, if I remember right, I started in this one because I did the 4, and then I thought, oh, I'll put the 1 there, and then I quickly found out that the pattern wouldn't have worked. So I then tried to be a little random, and I had no intent to make those 3 match there, but they did. So it's probably not going to be a whole 12 by 12 as a background per se. It'll get cut into pieces. It might get cut into pieces and then collaged again. Again, I was trying to break away from the straight lines, so I tried this one out using bigger sections. Like these are literally 6 by 6 cut in half diagonally, because I thought, right, how can I make something quicker? So again, this was a nice one. I enjoyed this. And then what I did was, because I'd done that one, I thought, oh, let's now search out some of the lighter colours within the 6 by 6, and I made this one. And to be honest, this is probably one of my favourites. I like this palette. I mean, this particular paper, I wish that was a 12 by 12, and if it is, I haven't found it yet, but I like this one. This was nice and fresh looking. Hopefully you can see these. We're having some really bad storms here, so I'm hoping the weather out there is okay. And the 11th one and the very last one was made up pretty much of scraps that I had. And as you can see, I had to be really, really creative with how I fitted this one all together. Because obviously it was the scraps. I had no more except these little pieces, and I knew I wasn't going to get another whole 12 by 12 out of this, which is, as I said, I think that represents the half. Now, what am I going to do with these? Well, first of all, they will go into a box. I store my 12 by 12s in these narrow plastic scrapbooking storage boxes, and I will keep them like this. There may be 1 or 2 that I cut into ephemera, and for ephemera, for me, I'd make some large tags, probably 6-inch tall tags by about 3 inches wide. I'd then do some journal cards as well, probably some belly bands. I would like to make at least 1 cover, but as I wasn't aware of what I was making them for, I didn't think ahead. And this is something that I'm really quite pleased I did, because it means I can share it with you. Okay, the kit is a 6 by 6. 6 by 6 is obviously half of 12. Now, when you're making a collage background like this and you're making it for a journal cover, you have to fold it in half, obviously. I personally have found that if there's a seam or joins where I've collaged down the center line, those pieces are likely to pop off, or when you fold or score the cover, they tend to pull apart. Normally, I would put something like lace or fabric or canvas or denim or something down the spine of a journal anyway, but if I use that principle, this one could potentially be a journal cover. This one couldn't, because as you can see, this piece here is on the 6-inch line. This here, I could get away with it, but I'm erring on. I try not to have joins close to the spine. So I'm going to put this with the possibles. This one, again, I couldn't use that. That's a direct 6-inch line, and that's a direct 6-inch line. I wouldn't use that for a cover. This one I could, because there's nothing directly in the 6-inch line. This one I definitely couldn't, unless, because it's got the 6-inch. I mean, there you go. There, I folded it now. As you can see, as an example, all of the edges where they've been stuck pop up. I'm not worried about that, because if I was making this into a journal, I would actually be putting something around the spine. But that's a very, very good example why you try to keep the join away from where the spine would be. This one again, there's 6-inch spine marks. This one, 6-inch spines. This one I could get away with. I'd have to not bend it that way, because I think that falls on the 6-inch, but I could get away with that little bit there. I could make that into a journal cover. Yeah, there's a 6-inch line, 6-inch line. Again, 6-inch line, a bit of a 6-inch line. So as you can see, Oh, and there's another one here, isn't there? I forgot about this one. Yeah, this has got some 6-inch spacings in it. So if you're planning to do this exercise, which is taking a whole 6x6 pad and making it into 12x12s, ready to create journal covers from them, just be aware of the center seam. It's easily fixed. If I'd have worked out that I was going to be doing that, I wouldn't have started in the corner. I probably would have put a line of down the middle of 3 and made the other squares finish at 1.5 or something. I would have played with the geometry of it, should we say. Again, with this one, what I would have done is I would have made that one completely cross the 6, that one completely cross the 6, this one would be on the 6, and this one probably be okay where it is, to be honest. It's just giving a bit of a thought ahead. It was a wonderful exercise, so I'm pleased I did it. These will become things. This is probably going to become belly bands for me, to be honest. That just lends itself into cutting into strips to be belly bands. Then it's a 12-inch, so I'll probably cut it down to about 8.25, which then will give me another strip. So I'd cut that strip off first, probably make that into 2 tags, and this into 4 belly bands. So a bit of an exercise, a bit of a follow-up. I enjoy doing it. I'm now going to look at any other 6x6, 4x4s or 8x8 pads I've got, because as I said in the previous video, and there will be a link to the previous video in the description box, guys, just in case you've spotted this video but not the other, I would use a 12x12 far more readily than I would use a 6x6, but I would definitely use a 6x6 to create a 12x12, and as you can see, the whole colour, it works throughout everything. It just keeps reminding me of a chocolate box, this lot. So hopefully that was what you guys were asking for. Hopefully that's what you're expecting. This lot here, what I'm going to do with this is I'm probably going to make this into clusters, or I might just get a couple of tag backs or something and just make individual tags instead of doing the mass make version of making 12x12s. So that won't go to waste. As I said, actually it might end up as clusters, to be honest, because I can use clusters on things. So, and I've definitely got enough here for cards, journal tags, pockets, everything. There's enough of everything here. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully that was what you were expecting. I had fun doing this. I would really recommend digging out your 6x6 or your smaller pads and make them into something. I like 12x12s. You could easily have done this onto regular copier paper or done it onto a file folder or just spare pieces of backing card and make more of the 6x6 than you actually started with. So I'm Ceri the Crafter, that's Ceri the Crafter, signing off until next time. Bye bye guys.